Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there in the first place? Or maybe you have been mid-conversation and a familiar name just vanishes from the tip of your tongue, leaving you frustrated and perhaps a little frightened. If you are over 60, these moments can send a chill down your spine. We instantly worry, is this it? Is this the beginning of dementia or Alzheimer's? It is a terrifying thought and one that keeps many of us awake at night. But what if I told you that for many seniors, the culprit behind that brain fog and memory focus might not be inevitable aging or a permanent decline? What if the answer lies in a silent, invisible deficiency that affects nearly half of the global population and yet is almost entirely preventable? There is a specific nutrient that acts as a guardian for your brain cells, and without it, your cognitive shield begins to crack. Today, we are going to explore the silent risk of low vitamin D and how this one, deficiency, could be the hidden key to protecting your mind. You might be thinking that vitamin D is just for strong bones or preventing osteoporosis. And while that is true, modern science has uncovered something far more profound. This vitamin is actually a neurosteroid, a hormone that directly impacts how your brain functions, repairs itself, and creates memories. When you run low, it is not just your bones that get brittle. Your brain's ability to defend itself weakens too. The good news is that unlike genetics or family history, this is a risk factor you can control starting right now. In this conversation, we are going to uncover the science behind this connection, identifying the sneaky signs that you might be deficient, and most importantly, walking through a simple roadmap to get your levels back to the safety zone. By the end of this time together, you will have a clear plan to nourish your brain and potentially reclaim that mental sharpness you thought was slipping away. Before we dive into the deep science and the solutions, if you care about staying healthy, independent, and sharp as you age, consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications. We share the kind of deep dive senior health tips that doctors often do not have time to explain in a 15-minute appointment. And let me ask you a quick question. Are you watching from the United States, the UK, Canada, or perhaps somewhere else entirely? Drop a comment below with where you are from, because I am always curious how far our senior health community reaches, and I love seeing us all come together from different corners of the world. Let's start by looking at what is actually happening inside your head when vitamin D levels drop. You see, for years we treated vitamin D like a simple nutrient, but a groundbreaking study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition fundamentally shifted how we see it. Researchers found that vitamin D receptors are found throughout the brain, particularly in the hippocampus, which is the area responsible for memory and learning. Think of these receptors as tiny locks and vitamin D as the key. When the key enters the lock, it activates processes that protect neurons and reduce inflammation. If you do not have enough keys, those locks stay shut and the brain cells are left vulnerable. In fact, a study from the University of Exeter looked at over 1,600 seniors and found that those who were moderately deficient in vitamin D had a 53% increased risk of developing dementia of any kind. That is a staggering number. It means that more than half the risk in that specific group was tied to something we can fix with diet and sunshine. It is easy to brush this off and say, well, I spend time in the garden, I am sure I am fine. But here is the tricky part about aging. As we get older, our skin becomes less efficient at converting sunlight into vitamin D. It is a natural part of the aging process. A person over the age of 70 produces about 75% less vitamin D than a person in their 20s. Even if they stand in the same sun for the same amount of time, it is like trying to fill a bathtub with a faucet that is only dripping instead of flowing. You might be outside, but your body's not banking the benefits the way it used to. This is why we call it a silent risk. You feel like you are doing everything right, but your biological machinery has slowed down, leaving your brain thirsty for this vital nutrient. Now, imagine the feeling of brain fog, that heavy cotton wool sensation where thoughts move like molasses. Many of my viewers describe it as feeling like they are looking at the world through a dirty window. This is often dismissed as just getting old, but biologically it can be a sign of inflammation. Vitamin D acts as a potent anti-inflammatory agent in the brain. When levels are low, inflammation rises. Chronic inflammation in the brain is one of the primary drivers of Alzheimer's disease. It is like a slow-burning fire that damages the connections between neurons. A study published in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry found that low vitamin D levels were associated with faster cognitive decline in elderly people. This suggests that keeping your levels optimal helps put out that fire, or at least keeps it from spreading. It is empowering when you think about it because it means you have a fire extinguisher in your hands. Moving on to a crucial point that often gets overlooked, which is the connection between your mood and your memory. We often treat depression and dementia as two totally separate things, but in the senior years, they are tangibly linked. Low vitamin D has been repeatedly linked to depression in older adults, often called seasonal affective disorder when it relates to lack of sun. But here is the kicker: depression itself mimics dementia. It causes memory lapses, confusion, and lack of focus. Sometimes what looks like early Alzheimer's is actually a severe vitamin D deficiency masquerading as depressive cognitive decline. Research in the British Journal of Psychiatry has highlighted how correcting vitamin D levels can improve mood scores significantly. If you improve your mood, your brain sharpens. It is a positive feedback loop. By fixing the deficiency, you might lift the fog of depression and suddenly find that your memory comes roaring back. Let's talk about something practically everyone ignores, which is the role of magnesium. You might wonder why we are talking about magnesium in a video about vitamin D, but this is critical. You can take all the vitamin D supplements in the world, but if you are low in magnesium, your body cannot convert that vitamin D into its active, usable form. It remains dormant and useless. The American Osteopathic Association reported that up to 50% of the population is magnesium deficient. This means half of us are taking vitamin D that our bodies cannot even switch on. It is like buying a fancy lamp but forgetting to plug it in. The lamp is there, but there is no light. So when we talk about brain health, we have to look at the whole picture. We need to make sure you are eating magnesium-rich foods like pumpkin seeds, spinach, and almonds to ensure that the vitamin D you get is actually doing its job protecting your brain. I want to pause here for a second and just acknowledge how overwhelming this can feel. You might be sitting there thinking, I have so many pills to take and so many things to worry about, and now I have to worry about the sun and my brain shrinking. I hear you. It is a lot. But I want you to take a deep breath. The goal here isn't to add to your worry list. The goal is to give you a simple lever you can pull that has a massive impact. You do not need to become a scientist. You just need to make a few small tweaks. And remember, it is never too late. Even if you have been deficient for years, research suggests that restoring your levels can help halt further decline. You are not helpless in this. You are taking charge just by being here and learning. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of food, because this is where you can make changes today without a prescription. Many seniors rely solely on diet for nutrients, which is generally good, but for vitamin D, it is notoriously difficult. There are very few foods that naturally contain high amounts. The superstar here is fatty fish: salmon, mackerel, and sardines. A study published in the Journal of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology noted that wild-caught salmon contains significantly more vitamin D than farmed salmon. So if you can choose wild-caught, even canned wild-caught salmon, which is very affordable, you are getting a huge dose. Imagine making a simple salmon salad for lunch. Not only are you getting the protein for your muscles, but you are delivering a direct care package to your hippocampus. If you do not like fish, egg yolks are another source, though, much smaller, and mushrooms, specifically mushrooms that have been exposed to UV light, can be a vegan power source. It sounds strange, but some growers blast mushrooms with light to boost their vitamin D levels. It is worth checking the label next time you are at the store. But let's be real. Can you eat enough salmon to protect your brain? For most of us, the answer is no. This brings us to the controversial topic of sunshine. We have been told for decades to fear the sun because of skin cancer, and that is a valid concern, especially for aging skin that is thinner and more fragile. However, we might have swung the pendulum too far. Complete avoidance of the sun is dangerous for the brain. The Holick Laboratory at Boston University Medical Center has done extensive work on this. They suggest that sensible sun exposure, which means exposing your arms and legs for about 10 to 15 minutes, usually around midday when the sun is strong, can generate a significant amount of vitamin D. The key is to do this without burning. For a senior, specifically because of that reduced efficiency in the skin, you might need a little more time, but you must be careful not to damage the skin. It is a delicate balance. Think of the sun as a medication. You need the right dose. Too little, and it doesn't work. Too much, and it causes side effects. If you live in a northern latitude, say anywhere north of Atlanta or Los Angeles, from November to March, the sun simply isn't strong enough to trigger this reaction. In those months, you absolutely must rely on diet or supplements. This brings us to the next practical step, which is testing. You cannot fix what you do not measure. Many seniors go for their annual checkup and assume their doctor is checking everything. But often vitamin D is not part of the standard blood panel unless you ask for it. The test you need to ask for is called the 25-hydroxy vitamin D test. It is a bit of a mouthful, but writing it down might help. When you get the results, do not just accept normal. The standard normal range on lab tests often starts at 20 or 30 nanograms per milliliter. However, leading functional medicine experts and research from the Endocrine Society suggest that for optimal brain health and cancer prevention, you want to be closer to 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. Being at the bottom of the normal range keeps you from getting rickets or soft bones, but it might not be enough to prevent dementia. You want to thrive, not just survive. So ask for the number. Be that proactive patient. If your doctor says you are fine, ask what the number is. If it is 25, you might want to work on raising it. Let's touch on supplements because for most seniors, this is the most realistic safety net. If you decide to take a supplement, there are two main types, vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. This matters. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that vitamin D3 is approximately 87% more potent in raising and maintaining vitamin D concentrations and produces 2 to 3-fold greater storage of vitamin D than D2. D2 is the plant form and D3 is the animal form, which is what your body naturally makes. Yet, doctors often prescribe high-dose D2. If you are buying it over the counter, look for D3. And remember what we said about magnesium and also vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 directs the calcium into your bones and keeps it out of your arteries. Taking high doses of vitamin D without K2 can sometimes lead to calcium buildup where you do not want it. It is all about teamwork in the body. If you are finding these tips useful so far, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps spread the word to other seniors who might be struggling with memory issues and have no idea a simple vitamin could help. And if you have not yet, do subscribe for more little-known health insights. We are just getting started on this list, and I have a few more surprising connections to share with you. Now let's talk about the connection between muscle weakness and your brain. This is a fascinating dot to connect. Low vitamin D causes muscle weakness. This is a well-documented fact. A study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society showed that seniors with low vitamin D were significantly more likely to fall. Falls are the #1 cause of injury-related death in seniors, but here is the brain connection. When you are weak and afraid of falling, you stop moving. You sit more, you walk less. Physical inactivity is one of the fastest ways to shrink the brain. Your brain thrives on movement. Movement pumps blood oxygen and nutrients to the neurons. So if low vitamin D makes your legs weak, it indirectly starves your brain by keeping you sedentary. It is a domino effect. By fixing your vitamin D, you strengthen your quads and hamstrings, which gives you the confidence to walk, and that walk saves your memory. It is all connected. Imagine walking up the porch steps easily again. That is the difference these small tweaks can make over time. Another aspect we rarely discuss is the immune system of the brain. And the brain has its own immune cells called microglia. Their job is to clean up debris, including the beta-amyloid plaques that are the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Vitamin D regulates these cleaner cells. A study from the University of California, Los Angeles found that vitamin D3 helps these immune cells clear out amyloid beta. Without adequate D, these cells become lazy or ineffective, and the plaque builds up. Picture your brain like a house. If the cleaning crew goes on strike, the trash piles up. Vitamin D is the manager that keeps the cleaning crew working efficiently. This is why it is so crucial to maintain these levels year-round, not just in the summer. Let's address the concept of toxicity, because responsible health advice always looks at the risks too. Can you have too much vitamin D? Yes, you can. Vitamin D is fat soluble, meaning it gets stored in your body fat. It does not just wash out like vitamin C. Toxicity is rare, but it happens usually from people taking massive doses like 50,000 units daily for months without medical supervision. Symptoms of toxicity include nausea, weakness, and kidney problems. This is why testing is so vital. You want to be in the Goldilocks zone. Not too little, not too much. A report from the Mayo Clinic generally states that up to 4,000 IU per day is safe for most adults, but because everyone absorbs it differently due to gut health, weight, and age, getting that blood test is the only way to know your true dosage. We also need to talk about gut health. You are taking the supplement, you are eating the salmon, but your levels are still low. Why? As we age, our stomach acid decreases and our gut lining can become compromised. This is sometimes called leaky gut or malabsorption. If your gut is inflamed, you cannot absorb fat-soluble vitamins efficiently. A study in the World Journal of Gastroenterology highlighted the prevalence of malabsorption in the elderly. If you have digestive issues, bloating, or irregularity, you might need to address that alongside your vitamin D intake. Taking your vitamin D with a meal that contains fat is non-negotiable. It needs fat to be absorbed, so take it with your eggs, your avocado, or your dinner. Taking it with black coffee on an empty stomach is almost a waste of money. I want to share a quick story about a woman we will call Sarah. Sarah was 72 and convinced she had early onset dementia. She was forgetting names, losing her keys daily, and feeling a profound sense of gloom. Her family was worried. They started looking at assisted living facilities. Finally, a new doctor ran a full panel and found her vitamin D level was at 12. That is severely deficient. She started a regimen of high-dose D3 with K2 and magnesium. Within 3 months, her level was up to 50. She told me it was like a light switch flipped on. The gloom lifted. Her energy returned. And while she still had normal senior moments, the terrifying brain fog vanished. Sarah didn't have dementia. She had a deficiency. I share this not to give false hope that every memory issue is curable, but to illustrate that we must rule out the simple things before we accept the scary diagnoses. Let's pivot to the timeline. How long does it take to feel a difference? This is important because we live in a world of instant gratification. Vitamin D levels do not rise overnight. It is a slow accumulation. According to research published in the Journal of Endocrinology and Metabolism, it can take 2 to 3 months of consistent supplementation to reach a steady state in your blood. So do not give up after a week if you do not feel like Einstein. Consistency is the secret weapon here. It is about the long game. Think of it like watering a plant that has been in a drought. 1 cup of water won't bring the leaves back instantly. You have to water it every day, and slowly life returns to the branches. Another surprising factor is obesity. Vitamin D gets trapped in fat cells. If you carry extra weight, which many of us do as our metabolism slows down, you actually need more vitamin D than a thinner person because your body sequesters it away where the brain cannot use it. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that those with a higher BMI have lower blood levels of vitamin D, even with the same intake. This means if you are overweight, the standard dose might not be enough for you. This is another reason why that blood test is personal and why a cookie cutter recommendation doesn't work for everyone. Let's also consider the role of sleep. Vitamin D receptors are found in the areas of the brain that regulate the sleep-wake cycle. Low vitamin D is linked to sleep disorders and poor sleep quality. And we know for a fact that deep sleep is when the brain cleans itself via the lymphatic system. If you are not sleeping well, your brain is not cleaning itself and your dementia risk goes up. It is a web where everything touches everything else. By fixing your D, you might sleep better. By sleeping better, you clean your brain. By cleaning your brain, you protect your memories. It is a beautiful, interconnected system. So let's recap the main actionable advice so you can walk away with a clear plan. First, get tested. Ask your doctor for the 25-hydroxy vitamin D test and aim for a level between 40 and 60. Second, prioritize D3 over D2 and take it with a meal that has some healthy fat. Third, do not forget the cofactors. Magnesium and K2 are the best friends. Vitamin D needs to work. Fourth, try to get sensible sun exposure if your climate and skin sensitivity allow it, but do not rely on it entirely, especially in winter. And finally, be patient. Give your body time to rebuild its reserves. It is all about giving your body what it needs and avoiding the sneaky things that cause harm. As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with a thought. I know getting older is hard. The aches, the fear of losing mobility, the worry about our minds, it can be scary and sometimes it feels discouraging. But you are not alone in this, and it is not too late to turn things around. Your body is always trying to heal and strengthen itself. All we have to do is give it the right fuel and care. Every small step you take, every piece of salmon you eat, every morning you take your vitamins, you are fighting for your brain. You are telling your body that you are not done yet. Growing older might be inevitable, but growing weaker or losing yourself doesn't have to be. With the right habits, you can stay strong, mobile, and independent. One meal, one step, one day at a time, you are taking charge of your health. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these tips surprised you the most? Did you know about the connection between magnesium and vitamin D, or the link to muscle weakness? Do you have any personal experiences with getting your levels tested, good or bad? Share your story or any questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and we all learn from each other. Your experience might be the exact encouragement someone else needs to read today. If this video helped you or opened your eyes even a little, please hit the like button. It means a lot. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on important health insights that could improve your life. We have plenty more science-backed tips for thriving in your golden years because your health and independence are worth fighting for. If you are still with me and determined to stay strong, type A, number 1, in the comments to affirm it. And if you disagree or have doubts, you can type 0. I appreciate all feedback. Your voice matters here. Stay strong, stay healthy, and remember, your independence is carried by your legs and protected by your choices. Keep taking those small steps for your health. They add up to giant strides in your freedom. See you in the next video.